Hello, I'm Jenna Hamlin, and today I will be presenting on NUMMI, the joint venture project between Toyota and General Motors. First, I will be discussing the 5 key problems within the case study that I found to stand out the most, some background information about Toyota, General Motors, and NUMMI itself, my evaluation of the case study, and kind of what went wrong and what didn't, my proposed solutions, the best option out of those solutions, and then the recommendations that I have. The 5 key problems I will be talking about is manager involvement, worker motivation and productivity, differences in leadership styles, culture, and the overall objective entering the joint venture. The manager involvement from GM was very low. They lacked the knowledge and guidance to give to their employees, and just the culture that they created for their employees there was just very toxic and not very good. They didn't treat their workers very well. They didn't react to issues the way they should have, things like that, which kind of leads into worker motivation and productivity. There was a lot of illegal bad things going on those General Motor plants. And like I said, with that manager involvement, there was just a huge lack of it. So there wasn't things being done. So the motivation from workers just wasn't really there. And then the differences in leadership styles from Toyota versus General Motors. Toyota was very involved, really had that team aspect, where you can rely on your managers, and not just your managers, but your other coworkers who are going to work with you as a team to get things done. Kind of same thing with the manager involvement, with culture. GM just created such a toxic culture, such bad things were going on, not a lot of work was being done, and whereas Toyota had that teamwork collaboration kind of thing, and they were producing really good quality products at a decently good rate. Another red flag should have been the objective when entering the joint venture. GM stated, they didn't really want to share their secrets, nor did they really feel the need that they had to change. Or did they see those changes? It's hard to say. Some background information about NUMMI. Toyota and GM came together in 1984 to create this joint venture, New United Motors Manufacturing, which kind of has a controversial history. A joint venture kind of helps you look into the future, and like I stated, you kind of see the other company's secrets, and so not wanting to share those obviously can make it a little controversial. GM also refused to adapt to those changes that NUMMI offered. Like I said, Toyota adapted that teamwork collaboration and flourished. GM continued to stay blind to their own poor techniques, quality of service, and product. An evaluation of the case, kind of where I saw really what went wrong and what didn't, was when we got to see the 15-year veteran undercover at Toyota with NUMMI. He was able to go through the hiring process, the orientation process, the whole thing without only a few managers knowing of his past with GM. He went through the entire hiring process and orientation, which is 3 months long. You go through training, you learn about respect, and you learn about what it's like to be an employee for NUMMI and what they value most, which is that teamwork collaboration aspect. After that, you go on the line for 2 days a week for 90 days, which is your probation period. After that, you complete it. 80% of people that start this probation period do not finish it. So my proposed solutions to better change this industry would be employee involvement, cross-cultural training, market research and strategic planning, the Kaizen principles, and motivation of employees. So it states in our book, and we talked about it a lot in class, is letting those employees make those decisions and have suggestions for the company. And being able to make those suggestions definitely helps the worker and their job satisfaction and where they're going within the job itself. And it just makes them feel more valued as an employee. So making sure they're involved in doing that would definitely help the situation, as well as cross-cultural training between the Americans and the Japanese. Just eliminating that communication border there would make things a lot more easier to communicate more effectively and get things done in a fair, efficient way. It's important to stay up to date on our market research and strategic planning. There's current trends going on. It's important to keep up on them and being able to know when to change, to adjust to those current trends. And then the Kaizen principles, which is a word in Japanese that means change for the better, and it focuses on taking smaller, consistent changes rather than large changes that are inconsistent over time. And then lastly, the motivation of employees, just creating a system where we know we can get our employees motivated, where we get them to want to come to work and stuff like that, is obviously going to increase our job satisfaction and make them incentivized to come to work. I think the best option or approach would be to take the Kaizen principles and follow that. I think it's just the most well rounded approach for both the employees and the organizations. It also kind of really relates to Numi's point and how they want to run their business. So, like I said, the Kaizen principles really focuses in on that teamwork and collaboration aspect. Um, of everything. But it's important to do it in order. It's important to start by taking those small changes and making them consistent and getting used to seeing what it's like to producing a high quality product. And then it's seeing that those changes are consistent and reliable and are taking those steps forward. And then it's finding that waste and finding maybe activities that you can eliminate, or finding actual physical waste that you don't need to use anymore, or things that just aren't working. And then you're going to be able to see that inventory being stored or created or um, accommodated to these different objectives, which I think would really make the industry better. All in all, I think it's important to add that if General Motors and Toyota was able to work together, they probably would have been able to make this joint venture last a lot longer than it did, and probably make some money out of it. I think, unfortunately, because GM was so blind to what was really going on within their workplace, they were unable to take those next steps to implement change. I think implementing those Kaizen principles, however, would really help. It really focuses on that teamwork collaboration aspect, which is what Toyota implemented, and we got to see them flourish. And lastly, I think involving your employees and making sure they have a say or at least a suggestion as to how they want to make the industry better, or maybe what they need to have higher levels of job satisfaction would really benefit both industries in this case.